You know, the word agent is one of those words that's just everywhere. We hear it in spy movies, obviously, but now it's all over the place when we talk about artificial intelligence. And you think those two worlds are miles apart, right? But what if I told you the core idea, what an agent actually is almost identical in both? So today, let's crack the code on what it really means to be an agent. So let's start on familiar ground, the world of espionage. Meet Magnus Pym from John le Carré's masterpiece, A Perfect Spy. Now, Pym isn't just a guy, he's an agent. He's got a mission, and to pull it off, he builds and lives a completely fake identity, a cover story, all to manipulate the world around him. At the end of the day, he's a person totally defined by a purpose.
And that really brings us to the big question, doesn't it? If a spy living a double life is an agent, what else fits that mold? What are the absolute essential parts that make something or even someone an agent?
To get to the bottom of that, let's do a little dissection of that classic spy archetype. We'll stick with our guy Magnus Pym because he is a textbook example of what makes a fictional agent tick. This right here breaks down the job perfectly. See, an agent always has a clear goal. They have a persona, that cover story, which is how they interact with the world. They get their high-level orders from a handler, kind of like Pym's mentor, Axel. They use specialized tools and gadgets, and this is key. They make their own decisions in the moment to get the job done. Keep these 5 things in your head. Okay, so you've got those 5 characteristics, right? The goal, the cover story, the handler, the tools, and the decision-making. Now, we're going to take a pretty big leap. What if that agent we just described wasn't a person at all? What if it was a piece of software? And boom, here it is. This is the technical definition of agentic AI. Just look at the key verbs here: sensing the environment, planning the next move, and acting on that plan with tools. It's a loop. Sense, decide, act. Ring any bells? It's the exact same playbook a spy runs when they're on a mission. Let's make this comparison super clear. A spy's handler, the one who gives them the big picture mission, that's a perfect match for an AI's planner. It's the part of the system that looks at the main goal and figures out the strategy for the next move. And what about a spy's gadgets? Well, in the AI world, we call those tools. It's the AI's ability to call a specific function. So just like a spy uses a lockpick to open a door, an AI agent can call a function to go search a database. Different gadgets, same idea. Right, so a spy is useless without good intel, the classified files and mission briefings. An AI agent needs knowledge too, and it often gets this using a really cool technique called Retrieval Augmented Generation, or RAG. It basically connects the agent to a specific private library of information so its decisions are grounded in actual facts. And what about the failsafe, the big red button? A spy always checks in with command before making a really critical move. Well, AI agents have something very similar, called human in the loop. It's a trigger that makes the AI pause and ask a person for approval before it does something major, like spending money or deleting a file. In both worlds, a human gets the final say. So, we've pretty much established that spies and software can be agents in almost the exact same way. But there's a third piece to this whole puzzle: us. Why are we so completely fascinated with this whole idea of agency? Let's take a look at how we like to get involved. Really think about it. When we get into these stories, are we just passively watching from the sidelines, or are we, in a way, becoming agents ourselves? In an interactive game like The Phantom Agent, our own agency is super direct. It's tactical. We get a list of choices that control the agent's actual physical actions. Do you duck the punch, or do you jab him in the eye? Your choice has an immediate result. You're the one making the call. Now, compare that to the world of Avengers fanfiction. Here, our agency is totally different. We're not choosing a punch, we're choosing a whole narrative direction using tags. Are we looking for some lighthearted fluff, or do we want to dive deep into a story about a character's PTSD symptoms? Here, we're acting as agents, shaping the emotional journey. So what this tells us is that our fascination isn't just with what an agent does, but with who an agent is. We want to control the punch in the fight scene, for sure, but we also want to explore their inner struggles and relationships. We're captivated by the whole spectrum of agency. All right, let's bring all our agents in from the cold and tie this all together. We have the spy, the software, and us, the audience. What does this shared idea of agency really tell us about where things are headed? This slide just lays it out so clearly. Look, Whether it's a human spy, an AI system, or us as a reader, an agent boils down to the same three things: a goal, a set of tools to reach it, and a certain degree of autonomy to make decisions. The context changes, but the basic architecture of agency, it's exactly the same.
And this concept is already leveling up. The old idea of the lone wolf agent is kind of fading. In tech, we're seeing this with frameworks like Crew AI, which lets you build a whole team of specialized AI agents, like a researcher agent, a writer agent, and a critic agent that all work together on one project. It's literally a spy crew, but made of software.
And the next frontier is even more ambitious. There's a new standard being worked on called the agent-to-agent or A2A protocol. The best way to think about it is like a universal translator that will let an agent built by one company find and work with a totally different agent built by another company. It's a global network for collaboration. And that leaves us with one last big thought to chew on. We started with the stories we tell about human agents, and we moved to the tasks we give software agents. So what happens when these autonomous, collaborative AI agents start talking to each other and working together on a global scale? What kind of news stories are they going to create?